Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Weird Wednesday from BaloneyBrain.com. This is, of course, John House, or Used Toy, and joining me is Daryl House, or Suburban Hobo. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm great. I'm rested up for my trip yesterday, and I got up early. I drove to Tampa, played some libraries over there, drove back. But the good news, as I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you have, like the lottery, the Lotto or the Ohio Lottery, it's always people from out of town who win. Have you ever noticed that?
I actually won one when I was on vacation in Tennessee, and I forgot to cash it in, so I've still got it sitting on the refrigerator.
My money issues are over. I bought this in Tampa yesterday, and I got a feeling I'm going to win.
Nice.
I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose my mind. So anyway, we got some good stories today, huh?
All right, what do you have for us?
Well, this first one just cracked me up. Republican, and I have a soft spot in my head for Republicans. Republican wants voters to ignore his weird sexual fetish and elect him to office anyways. And this is from Michigan. I mean, he wants a lot like a statewide office. This guy should be in Washington. He's as sick as they come. Jordan Haskins wants Michigan voters to know he has put his past behind him and is ready to serve. The 24-year-old running as a Republican for Michigan's 95th District State House seat is a felon who has served time in 2 states. Haskins' crimes include such things as breaking and entering, trespassing, and destruction of property. But by Haskins' own admission, his criminal past, which includes prison time in North Carolina and Michigan, is related to something known as cranking. Now, those familiar with the slang term for drugs may know crank is a street name for methamphetamine. But Haskins' criminal convictions have nothing to do with drugs. And this is like the kinky part here. Cranking is, according to Haskins, a sexual fetish. Haskins has also been arrested on several occasions for breaking into vehicles, removing the spark plug wires, and masturbating while cranking the engine. He says he learned the practice online.
What?
I don't know how that's sexy. I don't know how that works. I don't get that. Remove the spark plug wires and touch yourself while you're trying to crank the engine.
That's. Hey, just get a car that won't start.
Or a wife that won't start. Cranking. Who knew?
All right. Well, I've got a judge accused of punching defense attorney returns to the bench. And this happened down in Florida. A Central Florida judge accused of punching an assistant public defender during an altercation outside the courtroom has issued a public apology to all of his voters in the county. He's returned from a leave of absence after punching an attorney. That reminds me, why don't sharks eat attorneys?
Why is that?
Professional courtesy.
Well, I'm just wondering, is it wrong to punch a lawyer?
Well, it's a lawyer punching a lawyer, so it's like the pot calling the kettle black.
Unless that lawyer is Mark Canese, who we all love and adore.
Absolutely. Well, a court spokesman says that Murphy will now handle civil cases. He'll work mainly in his chambers since he's apparently a little on edge unless there's a trial or hearing involving multiple parties. So,
boom, boom. Out go the lights.
He's back on the bench.
Well, for me, the amazing part of the story is it only happened once. I mean, that's the kind of story that happens in Florida once a week. Lawyer punches judge. I tell you what we got every week down here is drunk judges. They've got DUI judges. It's like the latest chapter. It happens every day. How about this story, though? This comes out of California, so we don't have to pick on Buckeyes or Floridians at this point. But a man in a leopard print bikini top. This is a man in a leopard print bikini top and a black skirt went on a rampage through a North Park Denny's on Friday. He was hurling glasses and mugs. He injured 2 customers before he stole a cell phone and left. He was angry because he had left his cell phone and the restaurant manager would not allow him to view security footage to see if he could spot the thief, as if there were a thief. I mean, it's an alleged thief at this point. The cross-dressing vandal walked into the Denny's around 12:30 p.m. He asked the manager if anyone had turned in a lost cell phone. He was told no. He went off. The manager's name was Mr. Brown. He said he went behind the counter, he grabbed a soup ladle, and he tossed it. He hit a patron with a skillet plate, threw glasses, took a cell phone from another patrol, and left. The customer who was hit with the serving skillet, a woman in her 20s, suffered cuts to her head and her cheek as she was taken to the hospital. The man also hurled a coffee mug, and he hit a 60 or 70-year-old customer in the chest. He also went to the hospital. There was broken glass everywhere, water everywhere, food. Not a surface was undisturbed, Mr. Brown said. Many customers and workers bolted to get out of the way. The man was described as black and is 26 feet tall, thin, with shoulder-length braids or hair extensions, and he wore the bikini top and the skirt.
Nice. Yeah, you beware those cross-dressers.
Yes, indeed.
Well, let's see. Derek Price ran a strip club out of a barber shop. You can get your ears lowered or your pants raised. In Orange County, Florida, a guy apparently every Saturday night was running a strip club out of his barber shop. Now, normally, that might not be such a big deal, but he was serving alcohol without a license, and the strippers were going down to be completely nude, which included a 17-year-old female. So, yeah, he's in pretty much trouble. The agents, after a month-long investigation, purchased $20 worth of illegal vodka. And I don't know if they got a lap dance from the 17-year-old female, but the owner of the Super Fades was arrested and charged with allowing a worker to engage in nudity, allowing a person under 18 in an adult entertainment establishment, operation of an establishment without a valid license, and possession of alcohol without a license with intent to sell.
Super Fades.
The 17-year-old girl was also arrested.
Hey, well, you know what this story reminds you of? Remember the old movie with Eddie Murphy and what's it, 48 Hours?
Yeah.
It was the guy, Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte, and they go to this bar, and Eddie Murphy's won like a little trim. I'm thinking, barbershop, strippers, maybe I misconstrued what he was talking about all those years ago when I first saw that movie. And
I think it's possible.
You think? Well, I'll tell you what. Here's this is the nasty story of the day. I don't mean nasty, vulgar story. This is just ugly, and this woman needs to be slapped by everybody. A 60-year-old California woman is being held by police after she allegedly, I love that allegedly. They say that about everything. You can confess and they say allegedly. She allegedly sprayed weed killer into the eyes and face of a seven-year-old neighbor in retaliation for being squirted with water at a community pool. Julie Rodenheis of Grover Beach, you witch, is being held in San Luis Obispo County Jail on felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon, battery with serious injury, and child endangerment. According to neighbors in the condominium complex, Rodenheis was accidentally squirted with water by the young girl as she neared the pool area. Rodenheis was heard to tell the girl, "You squirted me, now I'm going to squirt you." She proceeded to spray weed killer into the girl's face and eyes before the watching neighbors.
Wow.
The girl was immediately treated. She was treated by family members and paramedics before being taken to a nearby hospital, from which she was later released. According to neighbors, this is not the first altercation between Rodenheis and members of her condominium community. Previously, attempts have been made to depress the homeowners association to force her out. She is being held in lieu of $100,000 bond. Slap her silly.
Well,
That's a child.
I'm thinking they'll be able to grab with the condo association pretty easy now.
Things may get a little paved the way there, you suppose.
Well, a naked intruder floods an Idaho home and
You get these stories
and smears
all the time.
and smears feces on the floor.
Oh.
And the best part about it, he wasn't arrested.
Okay.
He
And
broke
now the rest of the story.
Yeah, he broke into a stranger's house, flooding the kitchen, smearing feces on the floor. Matt Coombs is alleged to have done that early Sunday morning in Tricia Gillespie's home, but the responding cops let him go with just 2 citations. Gillespie and her husband woke up, saw a nude stranger, identified as Coombs, in the bedroom. My husband's like, "What the heck is going on?" And I'm screaming in utter panic, she told the local TV station. After surprising the suspect, ran into another room. The husband got up, grabbed a gun, and he's like, "Get out of my house." Apparently he, really had to make the guy know that he was for real. And after the guy leaves the house, he saw that he'd crapped on the floor and streaked it down the side of the walls. He, he'd flooded the kitchen by turning on a sink sprayer and shoving it into a drawer. And so the police show up. The guy leaves the house, and he waits in the yard for the police to show up. The police show up. They give him 2 citations and a ride home.
A ride home?
And a ride home. The Kuna
Not a ride to
police
jail?
later admitted that Coombs probably should have been arrested.
Well, how often do you hear stories about people waking up in the middle of the night and there's a stranger in their bedroom? I don't know about everybody else in the country, but yeah, I live in South Florida. I lock my doors and windows. I don't sleep with my doors and windows open. And this happens way, way too often. And then I read a story as I was looking for material about a guy who ran off a burglar with a gun from one of his like Xbox games or something.
Well, yeah, I'm guessing, you living in South Florida is probably a little different than living in Kuna, Idaho.
Well, we have like these 75-year-old New Jersey people that are coming down here, and they're not really breaking into your house. They're just lost. They end up at your place. Anyway, folks, it's weird. It's Wednesday. It's baloneybrain.com. We thank you so much for joining with us every week. Used toy with my buddy John. I'm Daryl. I'm Suburban Hobo.